Alright, hello singers of the worship team, Maddie here. I'm just gonna go and take you through what I've just shared with you, which you'll see is a playlist of 9 video resources that I've found very helpful as a singer and as a singing teacher. All but 2 of these videos I have used or intend to use because I've found them quite recently and they're really good for my singers, because sometimes, as a teacher, you know how to do something, but you just don't know how to explain it to another person, so you want to feel more informed about it, so then you can explain it and it makes more sense to the person you're explaining it to. So yes, 9 videos that are connected to singing that are just very practical, technique based things that will hopefully help us as a team to elevate what we're doing without the commitment of a night where we go over some of this stuff in person. You can just kind of watch it in your own time, at your own pace, practice some of the things in there, and if you're feeling extra curious, you can go and look for more stuff, because these YouTube channels have so much to them. Like I said, all but 2 I have referenced or intend to reference, because the YouTube channels that they come from are just so great. You'll see that there's a couple of YouTube channels that are repeated in there a couple of times, or maybe 3 times, that I use them constantly, so why not share them with you? So the first 2 on the list are connected to breathing specifically for singing, because it is a completely different ball game to just surviving every day and then using your voice in a way that we don't every day. So yes, they're both connected to breath support. The first one from New York Vocal Coaching, that's a YouTube channel, is from their series called Voice Lessons to the World, episode 20, I believe. Yes. And it introduces you to this technique of hissing, literally make yourself sound like a snake. And it just kind of goes through and says, why would we want to hiss like a snake to make our voice sound better? Why is that helpful? Why is that useful? And then the second one is from a YouTube channel called Freya Casey. She's a vocal coach from Germany, and this is 5 awesome breathing exercises for singers. So you can take what you've learned in the first video and apply it to this one. She takes you through some exercises that, once you learn the structure of it, you can actually change this out for whatever sound you want. I think a lot of what she does is just on a and I think there's one on a hiss as well, but you can do this on a anything that really just engages those abdominal muscles. So those 2 are kind of interconnected together, and the reason they are first in the list is because I feel that they are the most relevant to what we do here. That might seem a little bit backwards, but I guarantee you that when you sort out your breath support and sort out what you're doing for breathing in any given song, especially if it's a new one and you're unfamiliar with it, you sort out your breath first, and then that just covers a multitude of issues that you might find elsewhere. No matter what key you're singing in, if your breath support is good, you're probably going to find any key that you sing in just a little bit easier. So those 2 are, breath. Really, really good. Start with those. 3, 4, and 5 in the list are all kind of tied together as well. The first one is kind of an info dump on compression, which, if you might have heard sound production guys talk about this a bit, but for voice production, compression is the level of resistance that your vocal cords have to the air that is coming through them from the lungs into the mouth and out. So you just kind of learn a bit about how different levels of compression can be applied to different songs. It's very helpful, because then the next video is called How to Get Rid of Your Vocal Break. Ha ha ha. If you've ever felt your voice kind of crack or flip or do something weird between chest and head voice, and sometimes the key is just high enough that it's necessary for your voice to jump from one to the other, this is the video that might help you make that transition just a little bit easier, just a little bit smoother, kind of make it less obvious to the people listening, because I'm not gonna lie, I still get embarrassed when my voice kind of does a and then switches without me having a lot of control over it. And this is mostly due to breath support. If you fix your breath support, that issue becomes a lot more easy to manage. But this is like figuring out like on top of breast support what you can do to make that passage from chest to head or vice versa a little bit easier. And then the other one, number 5, is an extension of that called mixed voice, the key to singing better, question mark, which is a concept that you've probably not heard of. If you haven't been singing for a very long time, mixed voice is probably a concept that feels kind of impossible, because it is literally what it sounds like, a mix of chest and head voice. It's the heaviness and the weight of chest and the flexibility of head voice together to create an ideal situation where the break almost doesn't exist at all, because you can just kind of transition between chest and head and make it so smooth that you can't even tell yourself where where your break is. The next 2 are probably I think it's just a concept that we don't talk about as much until it's a problem, and that is nasality. Sorry, nasality. If you've ever heard someone say, "Oh, their voice is really nasally," like I really don't like the way their voice sounds, there is a possibility that they are talking about the right thing. Someone's voice can sound really nasal, but there's also another concept that exists called twang, which is existing in the nose. It is to do with the nose, but is a completely different thing altogether. So it's just kind of figuring out what the misconception is around nasality. What does someone with a nasal voice actually sound like? And is it part of their natural voice? Or is it something that they're adding to their voice that's not actually helpful to them and is something that you want to smooth out? It's just going over that, both of those videos. And I'm pretty sure the first one, again from New York Vocal Coaching, does not necessarily give you an exercise for it, but the second one definitely gives you an exercise to kind of figure it out. The last 2 are actually from a YouTube channel I wasn't actually familiar with or aware of until I was researching this, but they're called Worship Refocus, and they are actually talking about how to sing in harmony specifically for worship. But I think the concepts that they're introducing here are just kind of universal, so you can apply them to any songs. It's not just about worship songs, but it uses worship songs as examples, so you can kind of apply the concepts that you're learning about straight away. Because one of the issues that I've observed about our worship team among the singers is, and I'm trying not to step on anyone's toes here, but is that we drop terms like upper harmony or lower harmony or high harmony, low harmony, or alto part or tenor part, but we actually don't know what that means. Like, we run into issues when we're trying to describe the harmony that we're singing, but we just don't know how. So this goes through the actual theory, like music theory, connected to harmonies, and how you can feel a little bit more informed. So it goes through scale degrees, so just like the numbers we apply to different notes in an 8-note scale, to then be able to talk about which notes the harmonies are specifically built on and what patterns they kind of follow, to then be able to sing in 3-part harmony effectively, and then also to be able to talk about it, because I feel like it would be very beneficial to us if we're like, okay, are you singing on the 3rd or the 5th, and then we'll be able to like figure it out from there. I feel like that would be very beneficial. So just being a little bit more informed so that we can then talk about harmonies in a way that we don't get confused with each other, and be able to adjust as we go, because we have the know-how. And then I'm just going to tack on one last little video at the end there, just of me explaining some ideas, some tips on how you can possibly find the right key for your voice beyond just trial and error. Because trial and error is great, it's very informative, but if you had a calculated system for figuring out the right key for your voice, that's even better. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you find these helpful. Thank you.